About 10 to 15% of the world's population suffers from IBS. So if you're one of those people, then this video is for you, because I'm going to look at the low FODMAP diet, which is a common treatment for IBS, and I'm going to compare the results to a high fiber diet. Hi, my name is Sorcha. I'm a nutritionist and healthy lifestyle blogger from Ireland, and on this channel I offer scientific, realistic nutrition advice to make healthy eating and healthy living easier for you. If you would like more personalised one-on-one nutrition, then please visit my website www.sorchashealthyliving.com. I also have things like blogs, I have recipes up there, so there's loads on the website, so please visit it, and I would love to work with you and help you realise that healthy eating, healthy living doesn't have to be difficult. First, let's look at what is IBS. So, irritable bowel syndrome, it's kind of a really broad term for anybody who suffers from digestive issues such as cramping, diarrhea, constipation, flatulence, bloating, all of those things for chronically. And it also, people have triggers. So food, different types of food would be a big trigger. Spicy food would be a very common trigger. Also foods that are very greasy or fatty would be a common trigger for a lot of people with IBS as well. Things like stress and lack of sleep also can trigger IBS. There's so many things that can trigger IBS, and most people have their triggers, they know their triggers, and they can avoid their triggers. When it gets really difficult is when everything you do seems to trigger your IBS. I suffer from digestive issues as well, and it's not very nice whenever feeling unwell in a way that you can't do anything. You could there's been days where I haven't been able to leave the house because I felt so unwell. So it's not a very nice thing to have, and if you know what causes your flare-ups, you can avoid them. So that's where the low FODMAP diet comes in. FODMAP stands for fermentable oligosaccharides, disaccharides, monosaccharides, and polyols. These are all sugars. So the low FODMAP diet, it takes out sugars that can trigger IBS symptom flare-ups. It's a very, very restrictive diet though, and it's not a long term. It's not a weight loss diet. You will likely lose weight on it, that's the thing, but you should be doing it with the help of a doctor and a qualified nutritionist or dietitian. You should never do it alone, especially if you are already at a normal weight, or even worse, if you are already underweight. It's a way to find out what foods can trigger your flare-ups, and then you can avoid them. That's what it does. There are 3 steps to the low FODMAP diet. The first one, obviously, is to cut out high FODMAP foods. So there's quite a lot of high FODMAP foods. I'm going to go into that a little bit later. You cut them out for about 2 to 6 weeks. Then the second step is you slowly reintroduce these foods one at a time. It's very important you do it one at a time. If you reintroduce more than one food at a time and have a flare-up, it's very difficult for you to figure out which one caused it. So you'll introduce one of those foods at a time back into your diet every 3 days. So it will take a while for you to reintroduce everything, but you'll be able to tell, well, the minute I ate that, I felt unwell. So then the third step, obviously, is to maybe make a list of the foods that caused discomfort. Like I said, it is a very restrictive diet. The reason is because you do have to cut out quite a lot of foods in the beginning, but then obviously you add them back in gradually to find out which ones trigger you and which ones don't. So this is a list of high FODMAP foods that you should avoid on the low FODMAP diet. And then the foods that you can eat are low FODMAP foods, and you can eat them throughout the diet. For the most important part, does it work? So I'm not a big fan of restrictive diets, but they're restrictive weight loss diets. This is a diet to help you basically diagnose what foods trigger you. So 86% of people that went on the FODMAP diet who had IBS did say that their symptoms got better because they were able to identify the foods that triggered, and then they were able to avoid those foods. So yes, in a way, the low FODMAP diet does work. Now, like I said, restrictive diet, so you do need to be doing it with the help of a doctor and dietitian, qualified nutritionist, to make sure that you don't go too underweight, because although it's not a weight loss diet, it usually does cause some weight loss. Also, they need to make sure that you are getting all of your nutrients. We already know fibre is really good for gut health, essential for gut health actually. So when you have a low fibre diet, it's more likely that you are going to have symptoms of IBS. The reason being, because if you have ever heard of a bacterial overgrowth or small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, also known as SIBO, it's when you get IBS symptoms for more than 6 months. That isn't really referring to the fact that there's more bacteria in your gut. It's referring to the fact that there's more bad bacteria than good bacteria. So the bad bacteria has taken over your gut, if you want to look at it that way. That is what causes the IBS symptoms. The way you can avoid that is you can feed the good gut bacteria. The good gut bacteria feeds on fibre. There's many different types of gut bacteria that are good gut bacteria. One in particular is called the Prevotella bacteria, and it consumes fibre. So it is because it consumes fibre, obviously there's going to be more of them in people's guts that are eating a high fibre diet than those who aren't. There have been multiple studies done on people who are on a high fibre diet and comparing them to people on a low fibre diet. All of them have shown the same thing. People who are on a high fibre diet have healthier guts. There was one study in particular done on a group of healthy adults on a high fibre diet. They were taken off the high fibre diet and put on a low fibre diet, typical Western diet that most people eat. And within 7 days, they were getting IBS symptoms. So that shows you how quickly your gut bacteria changes as well. And that means that if you are on a low fibre diet and have a lot of IBS symptoms, increasing your fibre slowly, not like, don't go from not to 100 in a week, that won't work. But increasing it slowly, increasing your water intake will definitely help your gut. Also, the Prevotella gut bacteria and other good gut bacteria, it takes in the fibre, it ferments it, and then it puts out cancer suppressing and health promoting metabolites as well. So that's another good thing. We are recommended to eat at least 25 grams of fibre a day. Most people maybe get in about 10 grams. In African countries where they still eat their traditional diet, they eat up to 50 grams of fibre a day, sometimes more, and they have the healthiest guts in the world. Another thing that has been noticed by scientists and epidemiologists is that those people, the typical illnesses that you would see in the Western society, diet-related illnesses especially, they're non-existent over there. That goes to show you how much diet affects your health. So if you could get up to the 25, that's great. But if you feel you can go further, like if you feel you can get up to 50, keep going. I know it sounds like a lot, but little changes really help. So things like if you eat pasta, start off maybe half white pasta, half brown pasta, and slowly add more brown pasta and take out the white pasta until you are eating whole grain pasta. Same with the rice. Mix it with the white and whole grain and gradually go full whole grain. Other things, bread, so change white bread to brown bread, or make your own wheaten bread, scone bread as well. Snacks, nuts and seeds are great, they're full of fibre as well. Fruit and vegetables, full of fibre. Just remember the fibre is in the skin. So if you're eating potatoes, if you cut the skins off, you're kind of taking away the fibre. So things like baked potatoes and potatoes where you just scrub them and eat them with the skins on, that's where you get the fibre. Things like that will really help increase your fibre intake so much, and you will feel so much better, not just your gut. Well, if you have IBS, do I recommend doing the low FODMAP diet? Yeah, why not? If you really are desperate to find out what is triggering you, it is a good way to do that. I would recommend obviously doing it with the help of a doctor, dietitian, nutritionist, definitely. And then when you find your triggers, also keeping a diary, a food diary, food and symptom diary. So where you write down what you've eaten and then you write down how you feel afterwards, or maybe you just write down afterwards if you have symptoms. Then you can look back and say, yeah, well, I ate that chicken curry and rice the last day and it caused me to have symptoms, and I had it today again and it caused me to have symptoms again. So there's obviously something in that doesn't agree with me. Then obviously I would recommend increasing your fibre as well. Like I said, do it slowly. Increase it a couple of grams at a time. Take it at your own pace. Also remember, if you increase your fibre, you do need to make sure you're drinking enough water as well. Because if you increase fibre and you don't drink enough water, it's all going to get stuck inside and you're not going to feel great. Just a little thing at the end of this video. This is general health advice. So if you do have gut issues, maybe you've been told they're IBS, but if you find that eating a high fibre diet really affects you negatively, then don't do it. Just because I'm saying a high fibre diet is healthy, and it is generally, that doesn't mean it will help everybody. Some people find they can't eat beans, which are great. They're full of fibre, they're full of protein. Some people find if they eat beans, then it blows the arse off them. Like, that's what I used to say when I was younger. Other people, certain vegetables set them off, like peppers can give some people acid reflux. Garlic, which is supposed to be like a really, really good antibacterial, antiviral, anti-everything. Sometimes people can't take garlic, it really triggers them. So these foods are all great and they do have these medicinal purposes, but they do sometimes trigger certain people. So it's very important that you know what your triggers are. You also are aware that sometimes something might say it will help you with this and it might not. That is what food is. Food has so many different parts to it. No food is simple. So when you eat a food, it will affect you differently than somebody else. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and share this video because you never know who it might help.